What's up, game boys and girls? Big T here, back with another video, and I just want to talk to my Sony fans out there. Sony fanboys specifically, because they're the ones who get the most bent out of shape about these things. They tried to preemptively strike Starfield, and they're ongoing with the just insane takes and just kept coming up with all kinds of crazy stuff to try to bring this game down. It's not going to happen. The game's already a success. I'm sorry. It's only going to be more successful when it actually really launches. It's probably at this point made over $30 million in the pre-launch. People have paid, at least 250,000 people, if not more, have paid $100 to play this game on Steam. There's a bunch, there's probably millions of people playing it on Xbox through the early launch, paying $30 more over their Game Pass subscription. The game's going to do well. It is a success. It'll very likely outperform. It'll very likely outperform Final Fantasy 16 with its 3 million sales. They haven't really updated that because it's probably not doing much better, sadly. Final Fantasy 16. I don't care about Final Fantasy 16 because I'm not a fan of the what do you call it, the battle system. I'm not a fan of the devil may crying of Final Fantasy games, so it doesn't move me based on that. It has nothing to do with it being Sony exclusive or any nonsense like that. If I want to play a game, I'm going to play the game whichever way I can, but Starfield will look like it'll dwarf Final Fantasy 16 pretty quickly. So we're going to go through the year somewhat. I'm not going to get on everything and talk about, it's I understand the cope. I understand the cope on the Sony fanboy side, because you're taking a lot of L's this year. It's been a lot, and it doesn't, at least right now, we don't have a lot of information for the future here. So, we'll start early in the year. A game that a lot of guys were hyping up, oh my God, what is the name of the game? What is that game called with the girl in the Square Enix game? This game. Didn't do very well. A lot of people seem to forget didn't perform very well. Like, the game had some crazy requirements, especially on PC. I think it dropped down to 720p a lot of times on PlayStation 5 even. The game was just not really well optimized. It's not like the PlayStation 5 couldn't handle this game, but it wasn't really well optimized at all, and it was a bomb. It was a flop. Let's just face the facts. It flopped definitely as far as what people thought it was going to be to what it actually turned out being. So that didn't do well. And I already mentioned the fact that Final Fantasy 16, for what that game series stands for, the sales numbers didn't hit. It's not just coming from me. Square Enix themselves have said that. It was definitely a disappointment. It didn't do much for its budget. I don't know what the Sony check was, but apparently it wasn't enough to cover what they didn't get. So kind of a fail there when it comes to Final Fantasy 16, unfortunately. And then you go to Sony's event, which was very disappointing. And this is not just me saying this. This is a lot of Sony fans who were like, "What was that?" A lot of CGI trailers, a bunch of game concepts, not a lot of substance there. Sony is making their big push into the games as a service, the gas games, because they realize that they can't sustain these movie sad dad simulators. Just not, they don't make enough revenue to keep sustaining these types of games. Even with all the accolades, the sales aren't enough, for what they want to do, and that's why they dipped into another L, for at least Sony fanboys anyway. Good for everybody else. The fact that Sony, is putting the first party games onto PC. They've been doing so pretty much since the beginning, and they are making pretty good money in that. They're pretty happy with that. Some games don't seem to sell well. Obviously, we had a game that didn't perform well in Last of Us Part One, but I think it has since been fixed and it runs pretty well now. But Sony fans, they don't care about that. They want the games to not perform well. They actually make fun of the fact that the games come out and don't perform, quality wise well on PC. Haha, you guys pay such and such amount of money for a terrible port. Should just buy a PlayStation 5 and come join our cult. No, they root for the games to not come out well on PC. It's a strange and sad existence. But that was an L. Obviously, they're not getting Starfield. They were gonna get Starfield probably as an time exclusive, the way you got Deathloop and Ghostwire Tokyo. But Microsoft said, enough of this nonsense. We'll just buy the company, and that's what they did. They bought Bethesda, and basically Starfield became exclusive, and future games obviously will also be exclusive. Redfall obviously as well, but they probably don't miss that one as much. But there's a lot of cope around Starfield because they really wanted that game. So, and now they'll try to destroy it and bring it down so they can feel better about not being able to play it. So that's where that situation is, and it's just an L. But back to the showcase. It was a disappointment, and a lot of Sony guys were upset, and to the point where they were like, "Oh no, that wasn't the real one. That wasn't the real showcase. We'll get another one later." But the showcase was kind of a flop, kind of a dud. Also a flop, and it doesn't make me happy because this is the thing that would actually push me to buy a PS5. Is the PSVR 2? It's a flop. And it could get better over time, but usually peripherals, if you don't hit them hard in the beginning right away, it's rare that they'll come around later with stuff. So if you don't get it out there in that release window, that launch window, and make this thing a viable thing and something people should want. And the tech is great. That's the saddest part. Great tech in the thing. For what it is, it's actually cheap. And a lot of people don't like the price, and I understand that because you need a PlayStation to play it. If it was just the headset itself and you could play it on PC, that would be a lot better justification to buy that thing. I think it would do a lot better if they opened it up to the PC market, but they haven't. So, but yeah, like they didn't allow me to play all my PlayStation VR 1 games and bring them over, because that's was great. That's why I bought an Xbox Series X. There was nothing compelling really for me to buy it game wise, but I had a bunch of Xbox games that I could play, and some of them will be enhanced on my Series X. Old games like from the original Xbox and 360, and that pushed me to buy a Series X. And I would have done something similar with the PSVR 2 if it was backwards compatible. I would have happily bought a PSVR 2 and a PlayStation 5, and it would have been justifiable enough because I love VR. But at this point, it's a flop. It may come around. I just don't really see it because I've never really seen it in the history of gaming. But who knows? Who knows? Crazier things have happened. But we're going to talk about more stuff that you guys are going to have to cope with, Sony fanboys. Because, as bad as it is right now for you. Oh, one more thing before we get into this. The price hike for PlayStation Plus, 30 to 35% price hike, and you're doing nothing new, nothing better for the service. Why is such a crazy price hike? Basically because they know the fans will, they'll continue to buy it. Even if they lose people, the people that will keep it will be enough to, incur that blow of the people that leave. So they're betting on they're still going to be making more money, even with the people leaving. So that's how they care about you. That's how they feel about you guys. Just letting you know. So this crazy loyalty is crazy. But yeah, so that's another L there. But going forward, it's not going to get it any better for you. You're going to be a lot more coping because I think Microsoft and Phil Spencer has already alluded to this. They're in their cadence now. They're in their 4 games per year cadence. They did it this year with, and they're smaller games, most of them, and one game was a pretty bad release. You had Hi-Fi Rush, actually earlier this year, great game. You had Minecraft Legends, which people forget about, but that is a first-party Xbox game. Obviously, you have Redfall, which was, like I said, the bad game, which they're going to continue working on. And if it turns out to be a good game someday, that's great. And then you have Starfield, which is also a great game. And it's going to be a major success for Microsoft as well as Game Pass. But you also still have Forza Motorsport from Turn 10 later. And that's a great get. So, a really solid year for Microsoft Xbox. But let's look at the future, though. Because like I said, there's going to be more coping going on in the future. So you have, like I said, Forza Motorsport, and I think that comes out October 10th. Killer Instinct, big 10th anniversary update, which is very cool, by the end of this year, 2023. Aura History Untold from Oxide Games next year. Avowed from Obsidian next year. Towerborn Stoic Studio next year. Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024 from Asobo Studio next year. Senua's Saga Hellblade 2 from Ninja Theory and next year. Age of Mythology Retold World's Edge. No release date on that. Clockwork Revolution looked pretty cool. No release date yet. Contraband is coming. No release date. Everwild from Rare at some point in the future. You got Fable from Playground Games. No release date on that yet. I think they said 24, but I'm not sure. Machine Games is Indiana Jones title. No release date on that. Game by Kojima Studios, whatever that is, a mystery game. You got Perfect Dark from The Initiative. I'm guessing 25, probably 2025. You got Project Mara from Ninja Theory also. South of Midnight, which was very interesting looking game from Compulsion. State of Decay 3 from Undead Labs, no release date. Obviously, Elder Scrolls 6, that's going to be huge, and it's probably going to be an exclusive to PC and Game Pass. Well, obviously, an Xbox. So that's you think there's cope now over Starfield. Wait till Elder Scrolls 6 comes out and is an exclusive. The Outer Worlds 2 from Obsidian. Wolfenstein 3 from Machine Games. I'm looking at 2 different lists here, so that might be some crossover. Obviously ongoing with Halo Infinite from 343, which is really good now. Alpha Dog Games, Mighty Doom ongoing. Arcane Studios, whatever they're working on, we don't know yet. Obviously, like I said, Starfield and Elder Scrolls 6 at some point from Bethesda. The Coalition, Gears 6, and possibly Gears of War Collection, that's kind of rumored. Compulsion, unknown, they're working on something. Double Fine, unknown, they're working on something. It's software, most likely a reboot, bringing back Quake. That's the rumor there when nobody knows, but they're doing something. Obviously, id Software is. In Exile has an unannounced RPG. Machine Games, I said Indiana Jones already. Project Mara, I don't remember that one from Ninja Theory. They're also working on that. What else? I think that's pretty much it. Whatever Tango Gameworks is working on, I'm sure they're working on something. Hi-Fi Rush was a small game, and it was not the full team, so they're doing something over there. Undead Labs is doing State of Decay 3. World's Edge, Age of Empires. What is that? 4 for console. Age of Mythology Retold. Let's see. I think that's pretty much it. And that's a lot. That's a lot to look forward to in the next few years for Xbox. And we don't really know a lot what's going on the Sony side, which is strange. I think it's strange that they haven't really told anybody what's going on. But yeah, so it's not going to get any easier. And again, they're going to be dropping, unlike before, where it was pretty sparse and there was like a year where there was no first party games. What was that? 2022. That's like you'd likely never see that again, barring some catastrophic world event. They're going to hit their cadence now. I think they're going to start hitting their rhythm. Like I said, they already started it this year, and it's only going to get worse. The cope is going to get crazier. I think the narrative will start to change for Xbox if they can continue releasing solid games. And the grift, the anti-Xbox grift is going to subside to some degree. People will still, partake, but it won't be as potent. It's kind of like with Nintendo and the Wii U. There was a lot of hate early on for Switch. Oh, it's going to be another Wii U. It's a dud. It's dead in the water, blah, blah, blah. There was a lot of talk about that. People forget because Switch is like, smoking now. But early on, there was a lot of discourse, a lot of preemptive strikes to bring down the Switch, but it just was too good. It was dropping too many good games regularly, and it showed that Nintendo got their stuff together. And I think Microsoft is getting their stuff together. And you're going to see a lot of these podcasts change. You're going to see a lot of people switching back and forth, changing allegiances. It's gonna get spooky out there. So you guys try to make it through, man. Try to make it through. But yeah, that's my video. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. What do you think? Are you excited for the future of the Xbox? I'm always excited when somebody is doing better and doing good, not when they do bad. So a lot of people, coalesce around negativity and want things to fail. That's not how I really get down, I was, quote unquote, an Xbox hater, especially in the early 2000s, because I was angry that they got Rare away from Nintendo, and, but I've gritted my teeth and moved on. I was a lot younger then, and this stuff seems way sillier for people in their late 30s and 40s and sometimes 50s to be engaging in this console war stuff. I laugh. I'll poke fun, but at the end of the day, I don't really care about that stuff. I just want to play cool games. I want the industry to be successful, and that's my most important thing. So, like I said, thank you again for watching and listening. You guys are awesome, and I'll see you folks next time. Peace out.